I opened my laptop and saw my fiancée with another man live at her bachelorette party. The next morning, she faced a shock. There was not going to be a wedding. That much was clear. The show, though, was just getting started. My phone chimed at 2:47 in the morning. I was already awake, flat on my back, staring at the ceiling and wondering why my fiancée, Madison, still was not home. Her bachelorette party was supposed to wrap up hours ago. I picked up the phone, thinking I might see a sloppy text or a picture with her friends. What I saw instead felt like ice water down my spine. The notification was from Facebook. The photo opened full screen. There was Madison, the woman I had been with for 8 years, sitting on a man's lap at Murphy's bar downtown. Her arms were looped around his neck. Her face was red from alcohol and something I did not want to name. The guy's head was turned just enough to hide part of his face, but I saw plenty. Sharp haircut, pricey shirt, a cocky smile like he owned every room he entered. The caption said, "One last night of freedom. Thank you girls for the wildest bachelorette. No regrets. Last night single." The comments were crawling in under it. Her friends were howling with laughter, dropping fire emojis, and telling her to get it, girl. Her maid of honor, Brianna, wrote, "What happens at the bachelorette stays at the bachelorette." Oops. I stared at that picture for a long 10 minutes. My head ran through the whole reel. 8 years. 8 years of saving, planning, talking about kids, running numbers for a mortgage, and picturing us growing old on a front porch somewhere. And this was her victory lap before the vows. I took a screenshot without thinking. Then I posted it on my own Facebook. My caption was simple: first night of freedom. I changed my relationship status to single and tagged the people who mattered, including her father, Thomas Whitaker, the most uptight insurance executive in all of Portland, Maine. It blew up fast. My phone started buzzing like a hornet's nest. Comments, private messages, shares, family, friends, coworkers. Half of them were supportive, some were stunned, and a lot of them were only there for the drama. At 3:15 in the morning, I heard tires on the gravel and saw headlights sweep across the living room. The front door burst open like a storm had kicked it. Madison came in hot, still in a little black dress, makeup smeared, hair off kilter. She did not look like the poised professional I had met years ago in a pressed suit and quiet heels. She looked wild and angry. "What is wrong with you, Jake?" she yelled, waving her phone. "Are you completely out of your mind?" I was at the kitchen table with my laptop open, watching the social media fire I had lit. Our town of Millbrook runs on gossip, and I had just handed them the story of the year. What is wrong with me? I stood up. I am 38. Years in the military and running my handyman business taught me how to hold my temper. That training was hanging by a thread. I am not the one grinding on a stranger 3 days before our wedding. "It was a joke," she snapped, throwing her purse on the counter. "You are so insecure. It was harmless fun." Harmless. I turned the laptop so she could see the picture again. "Does this look harmless to you?" She went pale for a heartbeat. Then the steel came back into her eyes. "You do not trust me after 8 years. That tells me everything I need to know about you, not me." "Who is he?" "Nobody," she said too fast. "Just some random guy at the bar." Brianna dared me to take a picture. It meant nothing. I have seen plenty of lies. I know the signs, the eyes flicking away, the small shake in the hands, the voice that will not land. All of it was there. My phone rang. Her father's name lit the screen. I hit speaker. "Hello, Thomas. Jake Walker." "What on earth is going on?" His voice came out cold and clipped. "I am getting calls from half the town about some Facebook nonsense." "Ask your daughter," I said. "Madison, explain it." "Daddy, it is nothing," she said. "Jake is having some kind of breakdown." The photo was a silly joke. "A joke that has been shared 300 times, I said. The local news page just picked it up. Madison's face drained. "What?" I refreshed my browser. "Channel 8 News," I read out loud. "Local groom calls off wedding after viral bachelorette photo." I looked at her. "Congratulations, sweetheart. You are famous." "This is insane," she shouted. "You are ruining everything over nothing." "I am not the one who decided to climb on a stranger 3 days before our vows," I said. I did not light this fuse. "That is enough," Thomas cut in. "Both of you. Madison, come home. We will discuss this like adults." She left. The door slammed. Then the house went quiet except for the buzz of my phone. I sat there and watched the numbers climb. High school friends weighed in. Old military buddies chimed in. Even my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, found the post and left a line of wide-eyed emojis. When the adrenaline slid out of my system, a heavier feeling settled in. Madison had fought too hard, too fast. That picture had a man in a fancy shirt with half his face turned, and even so, something about him felt familiar. I could not place it yet, but I would. I decided right then that I was going to find out who he was. Chapter 2. Morning brought a parade of noise. Calls, text messages, doorbell chimes. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Mrs. Jenkins knocked and walked in with a hot casserole and that hungry, curious look people get when the town is buzzing. Such a shame, dear, she said, already setting the dish on my counter like she lived there. Though I have to say, I always wondered about that girl, Mrs. Jenkins told me, lowering her voice like the walls might tattle. Too ambitious, if you want my opinion. And those late nights at the office. Late nights? I asked. Oh yes, she said. Working until all hours, or so she said. But between you and me, I saw her car pull out around 5:30 most days. It would disappear. Then it would come back around 9 or 10. Strange way to work late, do you not think? I tucked that away and called my best friend, Ben Carter. He manages a busy place downtown and usually hears the town news before the town does. Dude, you broke the internet, Ben said as soon as he picked up. Half the people in Millbrook are talking about your post. The other half are making memes. I need a favor, I said. Lunch. I am already clearing the schedule. We met at the Harbor Tap and Grill during the dead hours. Ben slid a beer across the bar and dropped a basket of wings like a peace offering. So what is the real story, he asked. I showed him the photo on my phone. Look at the guy? Really look. Ben leaned in, squinted, and then his eyes jumped wide. Holy smokes. That looks like Trent Barrett. Who is Trent Barrett? Regional manager at Whitaker Insurance Group, he said. Thomas Whitaker's golden boy. Drives a BMW. Walks in here with clients like he owns the block. Acts like he is irresistible. Ben set the phone down and gave me a look. Jake, if Madison is mixed up with Trent Barrett, this is not just cheating. That is her boss's boss. Pieces started dropping into place. The late nights. The way she fought the moment I posted the photo. The panic in her eyes. This was not a dumb stunt at a party. It was something planned. I need to be sure, I said. What are you thinking? Ben asked. I am thinking I do some quiet digging. Ben grinned. Count me in. But heads up, your social media fireworks already scorched Trent. Word around town is Thomas hauled him into a closed-door meeting first thing this morning. The whole office is buzzing. That afternoon, I drove to Madison's office and parked across the street. At 5:30, right on Mrs. Jenkins's schedule, Madison walked out to her car. She did not go home. She headed downtown. I followed a couple of blocks back, heart thudding steady. She pulled into Harborview Apartments, the expensive complex on the water. I watched her park and walk into Building C like she had done it 100 times. 20 minutes later, she came out with a tall man in a sharp suit. Even from across the lot, I knew him from the photo. Trent Barrett. They climbed into his BMW and rolled out together. I sat in my truck for a long hour, hands on the wheel, letting the truth settle. This was not a one-night lapse. This was an affair. When I got home, I called an old Army buddy, Marcus Reed. He runs a private security outfit in Portland now. I need help, I told him. What kind of help, he asked. The kind you are good at, I said. Research, surveillance, maybe some creative problem solving. Marcus chuckled. Sounds like somebody stepped in it. Give me the situation. I laid it all out. The photo, the follow, the man, the company ties. So you want to know how deep it goes, he said. I want everything. How long? What they are planning. All of it. Give me 48 hours. The next morning, the doorbell rang. Brianna Scott, Madison's maid of honor, stood on my porch with a tight face and shaky hands. We need to talk, she said. I let her in. She would not meet my eyes. Look, Jake, she began. I feel awful. The photo thing at the party got out of control. Did it? I asked. Or did it show people what was already going on? She twisted the strap of her purse. I said the name out loud. Trent Barrett. How long has she been seeing him? Her expression folded. I cannot, she whispered. I promised her. Brianna, I watched them walk out of an apartment building together yesterday. I know about the place. The only question is whether you help me understand it or keep covering for her. Tears spilled. Mascara ran. 6 months, she said. It started at the company retreat. She told me it was only physical. She said she loved you, but she needed something exciting. She made me promise to keep it quiet. And you thought that was acceptable? I asked. I thought it would burn out, she said. I thought she would get it out of her system and still marry you. But then she started talking about maybe calling off the wedding, and I panicked. I figured if she had one last wild night, she might see what she was throwing away. So the Bachelorette was, I guess, a test. She wanted to see if she could walk away from him. What happened when he showed up at the bar? I asked. Brianna shook her head. She lit up the second she saw him. That is when I knew she was in love with him. It hit me like a body shot. Not just the cheating. The layers. Months of planning a wedding while she mapped her exit. There is more, Brianna said softly. Trent keeps promising he will leave his wife. He says once he gets the promotion to vice president, he will have the money to make a clean break. Madison thinks they are going to run off together. He is married, I said. 15 years, she replied. 2 kids in private school. And Madison knows this. She thinks she is different, Brianna said. She thinks he really loves her. After she left, I went out to the garage and sat on the work stool in my workshop. The tools hung on the pegboard in neat lines. Hammers, drivers, saws. 8 years I had been the steady one. If it broke, I fixed it. I kept my head down and my mouth shut. But Madison and Trent had made one crucial mistake. They humiliated me in public and figured I would just swallow it and disappear. They were wrong. Quiet men like me are calm until we are pushed too far. Then we get very clear. Chapter 3. At 6 o'clock on Friday morning, my phone rattled the nightstand. Marcus Reed was on the line. Your girl has been busy, he said. I have hotel receipts, card statements, and enough text messages to fill a paperback. Want the highlights? Give me everything. They have been meeting twice a week for 6 months. Same place every time, Riverside Inn. He pays in cash. She uses her credit card for dinners, gifts, even lingerie. She is not exactly hiding the trail. What about the messages? That is the interesting part, Marcus said. Trent has been spinning a story about a promotion to vice president, leaving his wife, starting fresh, the whole fairy tale. I pulled his financials. He is leveraged to the ceiling. Big mortgage, private school tuition, country club dues. He is not leaving anyone. Does Madison know that? Based on these texts, she is planning to move in with him once your wedding is officially off. She has already browsed apartments. Each detail cut a little deeper. While I was sketching our future, she was mapping her exit. There is one more thing, Marcus added. Trent has a reputation. This is not his first rodeo. He promises to leave his wife, strings a woman along, and goes dark when it gets complicated. Send all of it to my email, I said. Every file. Every screenshot. What are you planning, Jake? I am planning to give them exactly what they have earned. That evening I headed to the Harbor Tap and Grill to meet Ben. Friday crowd. Music up. Voices thick. Ben had a stool waiting on the end where the noise dropped. You look rough, he said, sliding a beer to me. I feel worse. But I have a plan. I laid out what Marcus found. With every piece, Ben's face set harder. So what is the play? First move is a talk with Trent. Man to man. You sure? Ben asked. A guy like that keeps a lawyer on speed dial. I am not making threats. I am making the situation clear. At 9 o'clock, I rolled into the Harborview Apartments lot and waited. Right on time, Trent's BMW glided in. He locked up and headed toward Building C. I stepped out and closed the distance. Trent Barrett. He turned, eyes narrowing. Who is asking? Jake Walker, I said. You know who I am. The color slid out of his face, but he tried to square his shoulders. If this is about that photo, it is about much more than a photo. I stopped within arm's reach. He drifted back toward his car without meaning to. The suit was sharp. The jawline was gym fit. But under the polish he was soft. Here is what is going to happen, I said, keeping my voice level. You are going to end whatever you have with Madison. Tonight. And you are going to stay away from her. You cannot tell me what to do, he said. Actually, I can. I held his stare. I know about your wife. I know about your kids. I know your mortgage, your tuition bills, your club dues. I know about the other women you ran the same play on. And I know Thomas Whitaker cares more about his company's reputation than he does about your career. His Adam's apple jumped. You are threatening me. I am informing you. There is a difference. Madison is an adult. She can make her choices. You are right, I said. And so can I. I raised my phone so he could see the screen. A drafted email waited there, addresses filled in for Thomas Whitaker, for Trent's wife, and for a handful of local outlets that eat scandal for breakfast. The attachments were loaded: photos, hotel slips, message logs. "One tap sends this," I said. "Your call." He searched my face. "You are bluffing." I tapped send. "No bluff." The blood drained from his cheeks. "You son of..." He lunged. Training and 15 years of hard work took over. I slipped his swing, caught his wrist, and turned him. His arm locked behind his back, and he froze. "Free advice," I said near his ear. "If you want to tear up a man's life, make sure that man knows how to stand back up." I let him go and walked to my truck. When I checked the mirror, he was still planted in the lot, staring at his car like it might have answers. My phone began to light up before I hit my driveway. First Madison, then Thomas, then numbers I did not recognize. I let them all roll to voicemail. By morning, the confrontation had found the internet. Someone had filmed the whole thing from a balcony and posted it. The comments poured in, and most of them were not on Trent's side. People love a tidy headline. Local handyman stands up to cheating boss. Lessons learned. Boundaries drawn. At 10 o'clock, Madison pounded on my door. She looked like she had not slept. Her hair was a mess. The polished shine was gone. "You destroyed everything," she shouted as I opened the door. "I destroyed everything?" I said. "That is rich." "Trent lost his job," she said, voice breaking. "Thomas fired him this morning." "Good. How can you be so cruel? We love each other." I laughed once. "Love? Madison, you were a game to him. Ask about Amanda Collins. Ask about Emily Park. Both thought they were special." "You are lying," she said, but her voice was not sure. "Am I? When was the last time you heard from Trent?" "Since yesterday." She pulled out her phone and scrolled. I watched the truth crawl across her face as the empty screen stared back. Trent had gone silent. "He is probably just trying to decide what to do next," Madison said. But the edge was gone from her voice. "He is probably trying to figure out how to explain this to his wife without losing half of everything in a divorce," I said. "You do not understand what we have." "I understand it perfectly. 6 months of hotel rooms and lies. And now it is finished." She held my stare. I watched the moment it sank in. Trent was not coming to save her. He was not leaving his wife. He was not even answering her calls. "I hate you," she whispered. "That is fine," I said. "But you are going to hate yourself more when you understand what you threw away." She left. I called Ben. "How does it feel to be the most famous man in Millbrook?" he asked. "Like I am just getting started," I said. Chapter 4. The next week was one long ripple. You throw a stone into a pond, and the circles keep moving. Trent Barrett vanished. Word around town said his wife tossed him out, and he was holed up in a motel, sending out resumes in other states. Madison moved back in with her father. Thomas Whitaker was so embarrassed he barely stepped outside. My old friends were another story. It started with Ethan and Amanda Collins. Yes, the same Amanda Trent had charmed and dumped 2 years back. They were part of our regular circle. Weekend barbecues. Game nights. People you think will be there for life. Ethan called on Thursday evening. His voice was cold. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About what you did to Trent and to Madison." "What I did?" "Do not play dumb, Jake. You ruined 2 people's lives over a stupid picture." I sat quiet for a breath, letting that hang. "Ethan, you understand that Trent was sleeping with my fiancée, right? And he pulled the same move on your wife 2 years ago." "That is different," he said. "Amanda and I worked through it. We are stronger now." "So I should have let it slide? Married Madison like nothing happened?" "You should have handled it in private, like an adult. Instead, you turned it into a show." From there, it went downhill. He called me spiteful. I told him his memory was selective. Words came out that neither of us could pull back. Then came more calls. Scott and Laura Bennett, Daniel and Grace Park, a few other couples we used to see all the time. The message matched word for word. I had gone too far. I was the villain now. It was clear they had been talking, building a neat little story where Madison and Trent were victims, and I was the man who burned the town for revenge. The break finally came on Saturday night at the Harbor Tap and Grill. I was nursing a quiet drink with Ben when Ethan walked in with Scott Bennett and Daniel Park. They saw me right away and made a straight line to our table. "Well, look who it is," Ethan said, loud enough for half the bar. "The town's newest celebrity." "Ethan, do not do this here," I said. "Why not? You had no problem making it public before." Scott stepped close. Do you know what you are, Jake? You are a bitter, small man who could not handle that his woman found someone better. The room thinned to silence. A dozen phones were already up. You can feel it when a crowd holds its breath. Someone better? I stood up slow. You mean a married man who used her for love while lying about leaving his wife? At least Trent treated her like a queen, Daniel said. When is the last time you took Madison somewhere nice? When is the last time you bought flowers, jewelry, anything that made her feel special? I was saving for our wedding, I said. You remember the wedding she was planning to skip? Because you are boring, Ethan shouted. You are a small-town handyman with no ambition, no class, no future. Madison deserves more than a man who fixes toilets. The words landed like punches. These were men who had eaten at my table. Men who had stood in my yard with paper plates and beers, who had told me we were family. You want to hear what is truly pathetic? Scott said. You are so insecure you had to destroy everyone else's happiness because you could not keep your own woman satisfied. That is enough, Ben said, stepping between us. Stay out of this, Ben, Ethan snapped. This is between us and your loser friend. Something in me tightened and then let go. Weeks of humiliation. The lies. The lectures. Now this. You want to hear pathetic? I said, calm and clear. Pathetic is 3 grown men ganging up on one person because they are too scared to admit their own houses are made of glass. Amanda cheated with Trent. We all know it. And if I started looking hard, I am willing to bet I would find more of the same. What did you say? Daniel stepped forward. You heard me. Amanda did. And I would not be surprised about the rest. Ethan swung first. A wild haymaker. I saw it coming from a mile out. I dipped under and came up with a short uppercut to his solar plexus. He folded, air gone. Scott grabbed a beer bottle and rushed me, but Ben tackled him from the side before he could lift it. Daniel tried to come around behind me. I turned and drove an elbow into his ribs. He stumbled back into a table, knocking over glasses. It was over in half a minute. The damage, though, was not just bruises. Ethan would be sore all week. Daniel would carry a purple mark under his shirt. But the real damage was the bridges we burned to the waterline. Out. Ben told them as they climbed off the floor. All of you. Now. All of you. And do not come back, Ben said. They limped toward the door. Ethan looked over his shoulder. This is not finished, Jake. We will make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. They already do, I said. I am the kind who fights back. When they were gone, the room began to breathe again, but I could feel the stares and hear the whispers. Some faces gave me a nod. Others looked at me like I was a fuse burning down. You good? Ben asked. Never better, I said. That was a lie. The punches felt right in the moment, but reality was waiting. I had lost my fiancée, most of my friends, and probably my name in a town where everyone knows everyone else's business. The smart move would be to keep my head down, let the noise fade, maybe even pack up and start over somewhere new. I have never been called smart. Chapter 5. Monday morning delivered the bill for Saturday night. My phone would not stop buzzing. Someone had filmed the fight and put it online. The video was grainy and the sound was rough, but you could clearly see me take on 3 men and win. The comments split fast. Half the people called me a hero. The other half called me a violent thug. Local Facebook groups went to war over whether I was justified or just another example of toxic masculinity run amok. Then Marcus Reed called. You have been busy, he said. News moves faster than you think. I have something on your former friends. What kind of something? The kind that shows planning, he said. They have been at this for weeks. Ever since the Trent mess went public, they have been meeting at Ethan's house, building a response. Coordinating how? Phone logs. Social posts. A few emails that should never have seen daylight. They have been working to turn your whole circle against you. The goal is to isolate you. Make you the outcast. Paint themselves as the calm adults. A cold feeling slid down my spine. Why do that? Because you made them look bad, he said. When you exposed Trent and Madison, you also exposed the fact that everyone knew and kept quiet. They are protecting themselves by making you the villain. What else? Ethan has been talking with Madison, Marcus said. They are setting up something for this weekend. A public scene to make you look unstable. Where? The Fall Festival downtown. Big crowd. Lots of phones. Perfect place to poke the bear. The Fall Festival is Millbrook's main event. The whole town shows up, and half the county visits. There is more, Marcus added. You told me to dig into the guys. I did. Want the highlights? Tell me. Scott Bennett has been sleeping with his secretary for 8 months. Daniel Park has been skimming from his construction company to cover gambling debt. And Ethan Collins? He has a man in Portland. Not just marijuana. Pills. Powder. The kind that brings real time. I sat back and let it sink in. They were not only hypocrites. They were breaking the law. Can you prove it? I have photos. Bank trails. Texts. They are not as careful as they think. Send everything. What are you planning, Jake? I plan to give them what they planned for me. A public lesson they will not forget. Saturday came in gray and wet. October in Maine. Tents and food trucks lined the square. Craft tables. A small stage for local bands. Even with the drizzle, hundreds of people crowded in under umbrellas and hoods. I got there around noon. Jeans. Flannel. Just another local at the festival. But I was not there for kettle corn. I spotted Ethan first, near the apple cider stand with Scott and Daniel. They were scanning faces, hunting for me. A few yards away, Madison stood with co-workers, glancing toward Ethan's crew. All the players were on the field. Perfect. I walked to the stage as a country band wrapped up. The organizer, Paula Green, stood with a clipboard, checking the next act. Paula, can I borrow the microphone for a minute? I asked. Sure thing, honey, she said. Making an announcement? Something like that. The band cleared their gear. The microphone was still live. I tapped it, and the sound rolled across the square. May I have everyone's attention, please? Heads turned. I saw Ethan and his friends pushing through the crowd, realizing what was about to happen and unable to stop it. For those who do not know me, I am Jake Walker, I said. I have lived in this town my whole life, and I have always believed in treating people with honesty and respect. The square went quiet except for the rain ticking on the tent tops. Lately, some folks have been passing stories about me. Unstable, violent, a bad friend. I figured I would use this moment to clear the record. I took out my phone and patched it through the sound system. This first clip, I said, is Ethan Collins setting up a pill buy in Portland last month. The audio came through clean. Ethan's voice talking prices, quantities, and a regular supply. People in the crowd recognized him and started murmuring. Ethan went pale and tried to shove toward the stage, but there were too many bodies between us. Next recording, I said, Scott Bennett on the phone with his secretary, planning hotel rooms and lies, and how to hide it from his wife. Scott's voice rolled across the square, laughing about how clueless she was. I found Laura Bennett in the crowd. Her face did not move, but her eyes did. Shock, then anger. And finally, I said, Daniel Park discussing how he has been taking money out of his own construction company to pay gambling debt. Daniel's voice finished the set, calm as if he was adjusting numbers on a spreadsheet. The square buzzed. Phones went up. People called friends. You could feel the story spreading in real time. These are the men who called me unstable, I said into the microphone. These are the people who said I went too far when I revealed my fiancé's affair. You decide who the real villains are. I unplugged my phone and stepped down. Ethan, Scott, and Daniel finally muscled through the crowd. Their faces were a mix of rage and panic. You son of a... Ethan screamed and launched himself at me. I slid aside. His own momentum sent him crashing into the stage platform. He hit hard and folded. Scott came swinging. I caught his wrist, turned my hips, and threw him over. He smacked the wet grass and stayed there. Daniel was the smart one. He pulled a knife. The square gasped and people scattered as he stepped in, steel catching the gray light. Years of military training and hands-on work kicked in. I grabbed a folding chair, met his first thrust, and the blade stuck in the metal slat. While he fought the chair, I swung the frame and clipped the side of his head. He dropped. 90 seconds, maybe less. It felt like an hour. I stood in the middle of the square, 3 men on the ground, and a town staring at me. Then the clapping started. One person first, then another, until the whole place was cheering and whistling. Someone yelled, "That is how you handle bullies," and the crowd answered back. I looked over to the cider stand and saw Madison. Her face was washed out. Our eyes met. For the first time since this started, I saw fear. She finally understood what she had set loose when she decided to betray me. I walked toward her. People stepped aside like a path was opening on its own. "Hello, Madison," I said. "Jake, please. I have something for you." I handed her an envelope. Her hands shook as she opened it and slid out photos and papers. "Those are pictures of Trent with his wife and kids at Disney World last weekend," I said loud enough for the nearby circle to hear, "and a signed lease for a new house in Florida. He did not lose his job. He got transferred. He took his family with him." Madison stared at the photos as the truth settled in. Trent had not been ruined. He had used the noise to disappear and start fresh, same as he has likely done before. "He never loved you," I said quietly. "You were a game he liked to play." Tears streaked her face. "How did you?" "I hired a private investigator. Turns out Trent has run this routine in 3 cities. He targets ambitious women, promises to leave his wife, and vanishes the second life gets complicated." The ring of people leaned in. Phones were up. Every word landed. "Why?" she whispered. "Why are you doing this to me?" "Because you did it to me first," I said. "The difference is that everything I am saying is true." I turned back to the square. "Ladies and gentlemen, remember this day," I said. "Remember what happens when you try to wreck an honest man to hide your own crimes. Remember what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." I walked through the crowd toward my truck. People cleared out of the way. Somewhere behind me, sirens started up. Someone finally called the police. I was not worried. There was video of Daniel pulling the knife. There were witnesses who saw Ethan and Scott swing first. And there was a town full of people who watched me expose 3 criminals and a cheating ex-fiancé. I pulled onto the road and caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. For the first time in months, I was smiling. The quiet handyman was gone. In his place was something harder. Something you could not break, or cheat, or humiliate. Something that fought back and won.